Hello, and welcome to The Fool and the Philosopher.
The Philosopher and the Fool.
Very cool.
So I've been reading Harry Potter lately, and I always, when I read Harry Potter, like to come back to the power levels of the world, and I like to think of like who's the most powerful wizard ever, and who's like
The weakest?
Well, not the weakest. Just go down the list basically from the top. So strongest, Dumbledore, obviously. Mm-hmm. Second strongest, Voldemort. That seems fairly straightforward. Yeah. And then after that, it gets a little bit more muddled. I would start. So this after number 3, it's where it gets a bit more interesting, I think. So you have Grindelwald. He's a good contender. You have probably Andros the Invincible. He's up there. You have probably like some of the teachers at Hogwarts, like Flitwick, Snape, McGonagall. Well, even like Gryffindor, Ravenclaw, Slytherin, Hufflepuff. Like they were all probably pretty amazing wizards.
Maybe not Hufflepuff.
They created Hogwarts. So.
Yeah, I feel like they created Hogwarts while like Hufflepuff was like supplying them with cakes or something, like baking cupcakes and cookies.
And so maybe it should just be living wizards, though, to be simple. Or alive during the Harry Potter books. You have like Nicholas Flamel. He was a very skilled wizard. He made the Philosopher's Stone. You have if you just want to go to like combat ability, then you have
Remus.
I don't know.
Not Remus. The other guy. Sirius.
Sirius, yeah, Sirius would be up there, and Mad-Eye Moody.
Yeah.
James Potter.
Yeah. Sirius's sister.
Bellatrix Lestrange. She's his cousin.
Okay, cousin.
Yeah. So they're all up there. I would. So let's see. Grindelwald would probably beat like Sirius, I think, in a fight, and.
Well, no, he can't. He's in prison.
Yeah, but like in the height of their power, like I think Grindelwald would beat Sirius, and I think Grindelwald would beat Bellatrix, and probably so. I think Grindelwald's probably a fairly solid third, actually.
Okay.
Then you have James, who he beat Voldemort like 3 times, or no, he survived fighting Voldemort. No, he didn't. He fought Voldemort 3 times.
Yeah.
Twice with a wand, once with his fists.
Oh, he fought him with his fists. Is
Yeah.
that why Voldemort has no nose?
That's why he died. When Voldemort attacked, James didn't have his wand. He said, "I'll stop him. I'll slow him down to take Harry and run," and then didn't work.
Doesn't sound like you could like slow him down all that fast. It's just like one spell.
Yeah, it's a hard spell to cast.
But Voldemort's so boring in his spells, actually.
Yeah, that's because
He's very methodical and straightforward. He just uses the most efficient spell he can.
Yeah.
Which makes him kind of boring compared to like the other wizards in duels.
I've talked about it before. He's a scientist wizard, not a proper wizard. Dumbledore talks about Kant in the 3rd book. So when Peter Pettigrew is caught by Lupin and Sirius and they're about to kill him, Harry stops them and says, "No, bring him up to the castle. We'll send him to Azkaban." And then when they're going back to the castle, Peter Pettigrew escapes, and when Harry's talking to Dumbledore later, he says, "I should have let them kill him. Now he's going to go and help Voldemort come back to life."
Yeah.
And Dumbledore said, "Saving his life was the right thing to do, and you cannot know the outcome of your actions. The world's too complicated for that. So you did the right thing, and your father probably would have spared his life as well." And so that's Kant, right? The only good is the intent to do good.
Yeah.
And it was like, sure, you might have, if you killed Pettigrew, you might have stopped Voldemort from coming back, but the good action at the time was to spare him and bring him in. Reading it's really frustrating because you know what happens and you know he escapes. But
well, that's the interesting thing I've actually noticed with a lot of fantasy stories. I was talking to a friend about this, and I was talking about like the 2 different philosophies of Kant, which is you do what you think is good, and then there's the altruistic, which is like, is that save as many people as you can?
That would be utilitarian.
Yeah,
probably.
Utilitarian approach. Then you go to like and a lot of people seem to like utilitarianism.
Yeah.
But then you go to any fantasy or almost any book, and a lot of the time the main characters are always making the approach of Kant, like in the stories, like we have to do what is right, we can't take this approach.
Yeah.
Like in fiction, so many times the right thing to do, even if it's bad, they do it instead.
Yeah, well, like Batman in the Marvel thing, Captain America said we don't trade lives, and the thing about
But it's like the philosophers have like, oh yes, utilitarianism, and then you go to authors and story writers, and you come across a lot of the moral imperative.
I think the other thing is that in Harry Potter specifically, Pettigrew escaping was probably the worst outcome. So Harry did the right thing, and it led to far more deaths than would have happened if they hadn't killed him right away. So it was kind of the wrong result. And I think that is... most authors that I've read, just quickly going through it, don't take that approach of... Actually, no, I think that is fairly common, come to think of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to completely do a 180 on that. You do the right thing and a bad thing happens because of it.
Yeah, it's usually frustrating. Like, no, we can't kill him. He has to go to trial. And then he escapes.
Yeah, if they had just killed him off... But it's not like, oh, everything will work out because we did the right thing. Like, it doesn't.
No.
It would have been far better to kill Pettigrew. Because he dies anyways. He strangles himself in the 7th book.
Yeah.
But he brings back Voldemort. Voldemort's return is responsible for Sirius's death, for Lupin's death, for Tonks's death, for Ed's death. Like,
that guy in Hufflepuff? The greatest Hufflepuff ever?
Cedric Diggory? Yeah, he dies. And so, yeah, it's not good. Speaking of Cedric Diggory, he's the only person to have ever beaten Harry at Quidditch. And a year later, he dies. He also took Harry's girl. So I'm not pointing any fingers. It's just, it looks a little suspicious.
Especially if you line up that Voldemort and Harry's souls are bound.
And in the 2nd book, people were actually worried that Harry was killing students or trying to kill students. They thought he was Slytherin's heir.
Mm.
It's kind of weird that they didn't do that again after Harry just appears with Cedric Diggory's body.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I won the tournament. Yeah.
And Cedric's dead.
Give me those 1,000 galleons. Of course, he tried to get rid of them immediately by giving them to Cedric's family. So there's that.
Yeah.
So going back to Dumbledore saying that the future is far too complicated for you to know everything, right? It's a little rich coming from Dumbledore because I've never thought about it this way. In the 3rd book, Dumbledore comes to them and he says, 3 turns should suffice. You might be able to save more than 1 life tonight. And he's on this floor at this window. And then they go back in time, Hermione and Harry, and they save Buckbeak, and then they fly off and save Sirius.
Yeah.
Now, from Harry and Hermione's perspective, time goes like, okay, we heard a whistle and a thud, and we heard men's voices talking loudly, so... Oh, okay, so Buckbeak's dead.
Yeah.
And then we go, and Dumbledore says you might be able to save 2 lives. And then we go back in time, we save Buckbeak, and we learn that the thud was actually McNair hitting the fence with his axe because he's angry. So Buckbeak never was actually killed. And then they go and save Sirius and they escape. But from Dumbledore's perspective, he goes to the hut, they look outside, Buckbeak's there, they talk for a moment, they look outside again, and Buckbeak's gone. And then Dumbledore says that Dumbledore just appears amused by the whole thing.
Yeah.
And but then Dumbledore is so arrogant or brilliant or both that when he's at the hospital, he thinks the only reason Buckbeak escaped is because he did something in the future to tell people to go back in time. Because he says you might be able to save more than 2 lives tonight. Like, he tells them to go back in time to save someone he already knew escaped. Yeah. So he's planning, like, if he sees someone make an impossible escape, his first thought is, I must have gone back in time and saved them. Like, he kind of does have the future figured out. He knows, like, in this last book, he gives Harry all the tools he needs to defeat Voldemort. He kind of breaks his own rule, but he is, like, a wizard among wizards.
Well, I think, again, like that one point in the book where Harry's talking to Dumbledore's brother, and it turns out that Dumbledore isn't as good as Harry thought he was. Or, I mean, doesn't have, like, as nice a past.
Yeah.
And also kind of turns out that Dumbledore's been using Harry the whole time.
Yeah.
It's sort of that thing where Dumbledore has this philosophy or this idea he gives to someone, and he's giving it to someone like he's saying you did the right thing, and he knows that he can't do that, but he's trying to make it so the next person.
I don't even know if Dumbledore's as bad as, his Aberforth says.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, when he keeps... Like, in the 1st book, he gives Harry the invisibility cloak so Harry can go through all the challenges and fight Voldemort at the end. Mm-hmm. that seems crazy. Like, what's he doing? And then he keeps putting Harry in situations where he ends up fighting Voldemort. But Harry is actually his shock trooper. Harry is immune to Voldemort's magic.
I guess so.
And Harry has to die for Voldemort to die. So he's expendable. So you might as well use someone who's invincible and needs to die to do all your dirty work. Plus, if you give them the tools and watch from the guidelines, you can train them up so they'll be ready to take him down when you need to. Like, Dumbledore is kind of just preparing Harry to be able to do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
Because Harry's actually fairly safe. Because Voldemort can't hurt Harry.
I guess.
All the other stuff can.
Yeah.
But Harry also needs to die, so it's win-win.
Yeah.
It's like when you mind control a troop in like XCOM and then you just go be reckless with them and send them forward and shoot. Like,
Yep.
They need to die and you can use them to their full potential, so why not?
Or use charm in Baldur's Gate.
Yeah. And if they don't die by the end, then you've almost messed up, so you kind of want to keep putting them, but you also want to escalate it so that they are powerful.
Yeah, I guess so. Although, he was damn close to having all the Deathly Hallows.
Harry?
Dumbledore.
Oh.
He had the cloak and the wand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and then he probably could have gotten the stone too if he had just done a little bit of work into researching it.
Well, he got the ring.
Yeah.
But he messed up, didn't he?
He didn't mess up, he wasn't cautious.
Yeah.
Because it was cursed and he didn't take time to examine it. He just instantly put it on so he could see his sister.
Yeah.
But that's why I think the 5th book is my least favorite, because Dumbledore makes a lot of mistakes in the 5th book, and also it's just one big, like, stupidity, like, everyone just messes up.
Doesn't tell people stuff?
Yeah, people don't talk to each other.
Yeah. That's basically the plot of The Flash. People do not communicate, things go bad, they solve it because they talk to each other. Next episode, things go bad because people don't talk to each other.
That's like the first, 3 Dresden Files. Especially the second one. The second one could have been solved at any point if anyone had said anything. So it starts... I'm going to spoil it because it's bad. It's Dresden Files. It's got a lot of good moments, but the whole plot as a whole is absolutely idiotic. So if you don't want to hear spoilers for this...
the spoiler-alerting level of... Was it yellow?
I don't know.
Red?
So it starts off, Harry's apprentice asks him what the binding ward is for.
Yeah.
Harry refuses to tell her what it's for, and refuses to tell her how to fix it. So she gets herself killed, right?
Yeah.
If Harry had just told her what it's for, or how to fix it, she wouldn't have gotten killed. So it's Harry's fault. But if Kim had just said, hey, there's a werewolf that needs to be contained, can you tell me how to contain it? Harry could have told her, or Harry probably would have said, let me do it because I know what I'm doing. And she would have said, now here's the thing, the werewolf might have not trusted Harry.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't trust Harry. And he might have not trusted any of the White Council.
Yeah.
So maybe the only wizard he was willing to go to was Kim Delaney.
Yeah.
But even then, Kim could just say, look, he refuses to meet any of the White Council, so just tell me how to do it.
Yeah.
Harry could have lent her Bob. Harry could have said, I won't do anything, I swear on my power,
Yeah.
I'll go help you. Like, it could have been stopped at any point there. Okay, but that wasn't done. Kim died.
Yeah.
Moving right along. Every time Harry's about to save the werewolf, or to solve the problem, Murphy comes along and punches him across the jaw and knocks him out. Then she puts him in prison with the werewolf, and then he begs to be let out and to save it, and she refuses. Murphy is an absolute idiot through that whole thing. But part of the reason she isn't trusting Harry is because Harry isn't telling her there's a werewolf around, because he's trying to protect her. From what? I don't know. It's her job to deal with these kind of things.
Yeah.
The whole thing is so frustrating, and I won't go into too much more to spoil everything, but man, that could have been solved at any point if people had just been a little honest. But the 5th Harry Potter is like that as well. Mm-hmm. It's like if Harry had just used his mirror, if he hadn't been angry at Sirius, if Sirius had just been not sucked up his pride, if Sirius had listened to Dumbledore, if Snape hadn't been trying to get under Sirius's skin, if Dumbledore had just talked to Harry instead of being afraid to talk to Harry, if Dumbledore had taught Harry occlumency instead of giving it to Snape, if Snape had taught Harry occlumency instead of just using it to punish him because he hated his father, if anyone had done anything... Snape, people say he's a good guy, but man, he does so... He is... in the 3rd book, he doesn't listen to Harry and Hermione and Ron saying that Sirius is innocent because he hates Sirius so much. And then in the 5th book, he just like traumatizes Harry instead of doing anything to help. Like Snape causes more problems than he solves. Like, what does he do that's good?
He gives information that people already know, right?
Yeah, like Snape does nothing. He's not a good double agent.
He saves Harry's life from the bludgeon.
He's just a loser stalker. No, he doesn't save him from the bludger. He saves him from the kicking curse in the 1st book.
Yeah.
He saves Harry's life in the 1st book.
Yeah.
That's it. But then Quirrell says in a few more moments he would have gotten Harry off the broom anyways, but it was Hermione knocking over Quirrell that stopped it. So did Snape even do it? Although he would have kicked him off earlier, I guess.
Yeah.
But couldn't have Snape have been like, I assume like he's sitting by the teachers or something, or at least with the other Slytherins, like, Draco, go talk to Mrs. Professor McGonagall and tell her that someone is cursing the broom. And like at least get her to help me or look through the audience for someone that's doing it.
Yeah.
Like
Actually, that's something else I want to cover. So, Hogwarts teachers, right?
Yeah.
Like, they're all amazing wizards.
Yeah.
Like, just perspective-wise, so you've got the greatest wizards around, and they're stuck in a school teaching kids. Like, how must it feel to be those wizards in some cases?
I think that it's a fine thing to be a teacher, and like you're sharing your knowledge. Like think of Aristotle or Plato or Socrates. They were all some of the greatest scientists of their time, and they were all teachers.
I guess so. It's just
Share the knowledge, pass it down.
I always found it a bit weird.
What else are they gonna do?
Actually, what do all other wizards do in Mystery?
Well, there's the Ministry of Magic, where like they do like Muggle interactions. Like Arthur Weasley, he gets cursed objects from Muggles. There's the Aurors, who chase down dark wizards. There's Quidditch players. There's people that do paperwork. There's the hospital. There's Flourish and Blots, they sell ice cream. There's wand makers. There's cauldron makers, spell researchers, book writers.
Is it the
potion makers?
Are wizards with their magic like so powerful that they actually have not need for food and the basic necessities, and so they can just have a bunch of other jobs?
I guess like they do stuff like there's bookstore owners and ice cream store owners, and
I guess
Oliver makes wands. Like there's a lot of jobs. There's all those magic items someone has to make them.
Yeah, but I feel like that never covers on like the farming wizards. Like, do they just buy food from Muggles?
They might. They have a lot of gold.
Yeah.
They might have like a special group that interacts with Muggles. Here's the thing about I never thought of this for some reason. One of the books gives the conversion of galleons to dollars, Canadian dollars, and it's something like $30 is 17 galleons or something. So it's like, this is from memory, so I could be way off. So it's about $2 a galleon.
Yeah.
Or it might have even been £2 a galleon.
Yeah.
Galleons are giant gold coins. Right. So if you're an enterprising wizard, what you do is you you take all your savings, convert them into galleons. So let's say you're like the Weasleys. You're poor. You're able to get like 1 galleon.
Yeah.
Okay. You have 1 galleon. You go to the Muggle world. You sell that thing for like $50. You go back to the Wizard world. You trade that in for 25 galleons. You go back to the Muggle world. You trade that in,
and you cause massive inflation.
Like,
I think that's what the Ministry of Secrets is for, stopping wizards like that.
It could also be that Gringotts put some sort of charm on. A lot of Harry Potter, see, that's the kind of thing Voldemort would come up with. A lot of magic in Harry Potter doesn't really work that way. Like, there's a lot of stuff that would be kind of world-breaking if you combine them, but I think a lot of it's like, it only works for this person, or you can only...
Well, like, I was thinking about Malzahn, right?
Yeah.
Malzahn, what wizards do is they just open up a gate into the dimension of magic they control and send out waves of magic.
Yeah.
That's how they fight. They just send out, like, waves of death with raw magic. In Dungeons & Dragons, how they do magic is they're trying to manipulate the weave, and it's really hard to do, and so they can only get certain effects. Like, a fireball will always appear in a sphere. Like, you can't, like, shoot into a corridor and have it rush down the corridors. It'll all be a sphere. Finger of Death will always have to be, you have to point your finger, and it shoots from your finger and hits the target. Like, they're very much manipulating the thing. And same with Harry Potter. Like, it's very specific how spells work.
But in Dungeons and Dragons and in Harry Potter, it's possible to make spells.
Yeah.
And in Dungeons and Dragons, it's not typical that the players do it, but in universe, it's possible.
Yeah.
And in Harry Potter, it's very possible for people to make spells and be masters at... There's a lot more to magic than just casting spells in Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Like, Dumbledore looks at something and understands its nature, which is huge.
Yeah.
And, there's, like, making magical... Like, this is one that's... Wizard chess.
Yeah.
Ron is really good at wizard chess. Not only because he's decent at chess, but also because his pieces are... He's had them for a long time and they trust him and they have a strong bond. And I don't know what that means, but I think pieces might not actually obey you, or they might, like... I don't know how that works.
You remember a brief scene from anime. It's absolutely horrible, but there's these people playing chess, and the chess is like a giant board of like golems that are fighting.
Yeah.
And then the one side is cheating using elven magic, and humans have no magic, so it's like pretty bad for them. And they're like making the golems on their side like dodge attacks and like just, I don't know, like just cheating. And then the main character says, "All right, men." He like just starts speaking to the chess pieces. Like, "I know that the enemy has magic and they're superior in numbers, but what we have is my cute little sister here, and she's going to inspire you to win this battle." And all the chess pieces cheer and charge off and beat them. But it's just like the power of cuteness lets him win.
I wonder also, like, with that idea, that it might be that, let's say Harry's as good at chess as Ron.
Yeah.
His pieces might just surrender. Like, they might run away. Like, so maybe if you move onto a piece, you beat it, but they just surrender.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, it could be more like playing Archon, I think it's called, where whenever two pieces collide, they actually have to fight and the winner is determined. And I think there's an advantage given to the attacker, but I'm not sure. And the
Chessman of Mars that you have to fight.
Unicorn is, like, theoretically the best unit or something, I think, in Archon. Yeah. I've never played it, I've just seen it played.
The Chessman of Mars, they have to fight whenever they encounter each other.
It just seems like that would get rid of some of the strategy. I guess there's, like, not getting your guys tired and...
Well, in Chessman of Mars, the strategy is, like, there are still rules about how they can move.
Yeah.
And so you put your best fighters into the most maneuverable pieces, and it's like a mix of that.
Right.
And then, like, you can have, like, some really solid guy who's, like, a pawn. You can go, all right, this guy is just really good at defending, and so I'm going to make him a pawn. And so when, like, their queen attacks him, his job is just, like, try to nick the queen or tire him out a bit.
Just make John Carter the queen and have him kill the entire opposing force.
Basically do that. They have someone else who's really good fighter. He's not John Carter.
Yeah,
though.
John Carter doesn't play in it, right?
No.
Yeah. He just... Because I've read the whole series, but it was a while ago.
Yeah, no, Chessman, it's John Carter's daughter, I believe, is the stakes of the game.
Right.
And her husband-to-be is the queen piece. And he, like, gets his friend he trusts a lot to basically be in charge.
And here's the queen. It's John Carter and Woola.
Isn't Woola incredibly powerful psychic?
No, it's the battle hound.
Oh, right.
His Martian warhound.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd be allowed Woola as his piece.
I think that was its name, was Woola. Yeah.
No, it sucked. Like, all right, and John Carter's now the chess piece. And it's just like, oh no. Just punches you and you go flying.
Like, they don't really address how Mooney, Wormtail, Padfoot, and Prongs made the Marauder's map. But that's, like, a very powerful magic item.
Yeah.
Which you can see, like, everyone, even if they're under invisibility cloak, where they are.
Yeah.
Even if they're shapeshifted. And it...
knows all the secret passages of the castle.
Yeah. So that's... But I wonder... It doesn't show the room of requirements. So I think it might be just everything that they knew about.
Yeah.
And they just knew a huge amount of the secrets.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Maybe it was James who was the item maker.
Maybe.
I mean, it would be in his family, like the invisibility cloak.
Yeah.
Could have been just being a really good item maker.
That's Death's cloak.
Yeah, but could just be a really good magic item maker made it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is possible, but I think they made it together.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing... But yeah, that is true, actually. His family does have a history of making, like, pretty...
Like potions and magic items.
They might have made the Elder Wand and the Resurrection Stone and the Invisibility Cloak as well.
Yeah.
So the... in the first book, they don't address something. In that Harry and Hermione and Ron all capture pieces while they're playing wizard's chess on that giant chessboard.
Yeah.
And they don't say how. And I kind of wish they did.
well, they're wizards with wands, right? So what's the chess piece going to do against like a wizard who shoots a destruction spell into it?
They're like first years.
That's like the first thing they get taught. Wingardium Leviosa. No, that was second year, wasn't it?
No, that was first year.
Was it?
Yeah, that was. They used the spell on a troll, and that's how they become friends
Yeah.
with Hermione.
Yeah, maybe they just levitated the pieces. Like, they're solid blocks of stone. You can levitate them.
And they just sit there and take it like.
Well, I mean, what can you do if you're a giant block of stone getting levitated away?
Smash them before they get close.
Guess so.
Yeah, I don't. Just walk. Excuse me, I think I've captured you.
Very well.
Well, so that security system that they set up, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've talked about it before, but whenever, like, Dumbledore wanted to go check on the item, or whatever, like, did he have to go through the whole thing? Or...
He can teleport in Hogwarts, though, can't he?
Oh, yeah.
He could probably just teleport to the end.
So most people can't?
You can't disapparate or apparate within Hogwarts grounds.
Oh, but he can.
Yeah. He's the headmaster.
Headmaster's privilege. What, does he have, like, a hat?
I don't know. Or it could be that he's just Dumbledore as well.
Yeah. Or, actually, no headmaster's office.
Yeah.
Just, like, the bathroom in it. He just, like, opens up the door, pulls a lever, toilet moves aside, a little spiral staircase, just goes down it.
At least I'm pretty sure he does apparate and disapparate at one point.
Yeah, but, like, think about Voldemort trying to get into Dumbledore's room. Like, how bad idea that is with Fawkes there.
With the Phoenix.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, Fawkes.
Right.
Like,
It's just scary.
yeah, especially if you're a weak, partially souled creature.
Oh, if he's at that point, yeah.
Yeah, like I say, like...
Yeah, at its full power, I don't think that'd be too much of an issue.
No.
He kills Fox, actually, in the 5th book, so...
Yeah. But still, it's like, weakens ghost...
Oh.
What?
It's called Fox.
Yeah?
Like Guy Fawkes.
Oh. Because it explodes in fireworks?
Because he was burned
Oh.
to death.
Okay. Sure, we'll go with that.
He's burned to death, like, every year.
I guess so.
Like a phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like how, what's her name? Sybil Trelawney. Her great ancestor's name is Cassandra or something.
Mm.
And, yeah, there's a few.
So
Well, most of them. Minerva's the goddess of wisdom.
Sybil Trelawney, the future scene teacher, divination.
Yeah.
Is she ever right?
Yep, twice.
How often is she wrong?
Well, she gets a lot of stuff that seems right. Like, she predicts someone will leave the classroom forever. That's the thing that you'll be dreading will happen in October. And they do come true. And she also says to Neville, like, after you break the first cup, could you please get one of the blue ones? I'm particularly fond of the pink. And he, like, drops it and smashes. And so she's right about a lot of stuff. It's just her, like, proper prophecies. She's only done 2.
Ah.
And she may or may not just be good at, like, guessing with the other ones. But she's all right.
Yeah. Then the astrology teacher, right, is the centaur?
He is also divination.
Ah, he took over?
Yeah, after she was fired.
Ah, why is she fired?
Because Umbridge is horrible.
Oh, that was when Umbridge took over as headmaster?
Yeah.
What was Dumbledore doing while she was headmaster?
Everything he can to stop her, basically.
But, I mean, was he still in the school, or?
He was fired at one point.
Ah.
Because she, like, kept maneuvering to get him out of power. And then she fired him and became the standing headmaster or something. And, yeah, nasty. But,
Listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
you know, Harry Potter, it's magic you have to take as magical. It's actually written like a mythology or something. Like you could say something like, I don't know, let's take someone like Hercules. You could say, like, could Hercules kill Achilles using the claws of the Nemean lion or something?
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's like one's invincible and one can cut. It's like, no, the Nemean lion's claws can't cut invincible things. They can only cut the skin of the Nemean lion or something like that. So I think you have to just take it as magical. It just is straight up what it is. You can't do some fancy, like,
use
scientific
Leviosa to lift yourself on a floating disc.
Yeah, you can't do that sort of thing. You have to follow the rules.
Yeah,
and you have to use like a hover charm. And I think it's kind of what makes Harry Potter cool in a way.
Yeah,
But it also makes you think, oh, why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do this? Why didn't they do this? But
Yeah.
I think a lot of the time they can't. And also J.K. Rowling just messes up sometimes because it's... But don't let the...
Don't let the rules bog you down.
Don't let the facts get in the way of a good story. Don't let the plot get in the way of a good story or something.
Yeah. Well, it's a thing, because I think I've fallen a bit towards what your opinion was, which is like, Sanderson's magic is cool, but it's a little less magic and more of the rules of this planet.
Yeah. It's like, here's the science for this planet.
Yeah.
And...
like, that sort of magic system where it's explained. It's like, alright, that's cool and all, but, like, sometimes you just, like, want magic like Gandalf, like, I used my word of power to try to stop it, and it wasn't good enough.
Yeah. You just want them to do something spectacular and wizardly.
Yeah. You want magic to be magical.
Yeah. Wizards to be mysterious and you don't know what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Even the Malazan magic is a little bit like you said, it's very straightforward. You just tear a hole in reality.
Yeah, well, that's just the wizards have found, like, they could throw a fireball.
Yeah.
But they found the most efficient way is to tear a hole in reality and shotgun you in the face with energy.
Yeah, so they're not, like, super interesting. But that's because it's, like, a super war-torn place, too. I'm sure there's, like, a lot... Like, the what's he called? The Sita or the Kata? Whatever he's called. He does that spell that's a bit more intricate. Like, the sort of...
giant wave of death that's going to destroy everything.
Yeah, like the enemy-specific nuke that he was preparing.
Yeah, or their spell, the Tornado of Death.
Yeah, well, that one's not that interesting. That's just raising up energy and like...
Yeah.
So there's... But like Harry Potter, magic items abound in Harry Potter. I don't think many things do magic items that well. Like, a lot of video games don't do them that well.
Yeah.
Especially like The Witcher. It's like, oh, this is like a... Actually, no, The Witcher? I take it back. A lot of the items in The Witcher, not that interesting. But it does give you a lot... It's like Legend of Zelda. It's like, here's the lantern that can see the dead. Here's the whistle that can... Here's the bell that can summon a goat. Here's the... like, it keeps giving you... It's like Legend of Zelda, so it's actually okay.
Baldur's Gate does magic items all right.
Yeah, Baldur's Gate has a really nice pace to them. I think, like, Divinity isn't that interesting.
No.
Like, you get the magic pyramids. That's about it.
Yeah.
Divinity Original Sin.
Yeah.
But then, like, the Harry Potter... And, like, there's not really magic items in Sanderson's works. So it kind of is...
No, they're...
not that exciting in that sense.
Yeah.
But then Harry Potter, it's like, here's a sneakoscope. It spins and lights up when there's people with bad intentions nearby. Here's an invisibility cloak. Here's a map that can... And they're not just, like, standard things either. Yeah. They're really cool. Like, the Marauders map is really cool.
Well, magic items in Wheel of Time are pretty cool, although they're rare and dangerous.
I don't think they're that cool. Like, I don't really remember most of them. Like, they don't stand out to me as...
Well, what I really like about them is they're... a lot of items are actually just things we'd have in this day and age.
Yeah.
But they just need channeling to work.
Right.
So there's, like, a sink. And
yeah,
but it's like, oh, it's an intense magic item. But they have a bottle that can draw moisture out of the air,
right?
And that's just like what are they called? A space.
It's like a dehydrator. Or
yeah, it's a dehydrator.
Condenser.
Yeah, it's like a dehydrator. It's a magic dehydrator.
Yeah.
Or like they have a controller for an airplane. They find like a steering wheel basically for an airplane, and they're not exactly sure what it's for. And
yeah, those are fun, but
I guess it's a little different magic item.
And the other thing about Harry Potter is there's a lot of them, and they're all like really different.
Yeah, which
you don't. And also like they go into like I really love this scene where Madame Hooch is looking at the firebolt, and she says, "Oh, it's got a handle like the silver arrow, and the bristles are like the Nimbus 2000 line, but not a single one's crooked on this one." And I love the hovering charm here. That it's like it reminds me of the old comet. And back in my day, of course, like it's not just magical. It's like there's like a history to the magic. And
so about that, like when Harry's like playing against other people with his super broom, and then like Malfoy with his might gets it for the whole Slytherin team.
Yeah,
like that seems a little pay to win.
Well, in the like the big leagues, it's everyone's on firebolts.
Yeah, but I mean the school league, it just seems
the other thing about the school that is dumb, and maybe it's just because Harry's way too good at Quidditch.
Yeah.
So Quidditch scoring, you get 10 points if you get a quaffle in. Yeah. You get 150 points if you catch the snitch. Yeah. That's not actually as big a problem as you might think, because they say games can last like the longest game lasted several months.
Yeah.
And games can typically last for days, right?
Yeah.
So it's like...
And the game's over when the snitch is grabbed?
Yeah. So actually, that's not bad.
Yeah.
And like they show that Ireland is able to get like 200 points in like an hour or something.
Yeah.
So it's not actually that overpowered to get the snitch.
Mm-hmm.
It's just if the game's quick, then it's bad.
Yeah.
But maybe in the school they should lower the snitch's points, because it seems like none of those games last for more than like half an hour.
Anything else anyone else does doesn't matter because Harry's too good.
Yeah, but even if he doesn't catch it, like
Malfoy does, or
Malfoy or Cho or Cedric, like they all get it like pretty quick. The games don't last that long.
Yeah, like in basketball they lower the stakes a little bit. I know.
Yeah, like it's just too. It's just an instant win. Mm-hmm. Of course, Quidditch is also done so that it's like soccer, where your your goal differential is what matters more than your win-loss ratio.
Yeah.
So if you won one game by like 500 points, then that's pretty useful to take you out. So so that can help a little, but still for the final game, it seems kind of unfair. It's like final game, whoever gets the snitch wins. Everyone else is a formality.
Yeah.
Although there is an interesting part in the third thing where the Gryffindor could only win if they were 50 points ahead when they caught the snitch. So that does bring it a little bit interesting. Because if they caught the snitch... Actually, no, so the final game does count for the goal differential as well. So it's not actually terrible. Yeah. It's just the snitch is a little polarizing for their low level, I think.
Yeah.
Like, I think...
Like, make it worth, what, 50 points?
Yeah, 50 points would be pretty solid.
Mm-hmm.
In real Quidditch, they make it worth 3 points.
But can't you catch it over and over again?
No. The game's over when it's caught. But it's worth 3 points, and the normal is worth 1 point. Like, a goal's worth 1 point. So, in Harry Potter, it'd be worth 30 points.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's how it works anyways, is the game's over when the snitch is caught in real Quidditch. Muggle Quidditch.
Bribe the snitch.
You imagine being like let's say J.K. Rowling was actually like an authority on real wizards, and she wrote these books to talk about them. So these wizards exist, and they see Muggles playing Quidditch, and they're just like, you poor souls. It's so sad.
Or imagine, like, in the game of Quidditch, right?
Yeah.
Like, you have someone like Usain Bolt as your snitch. Just like, boom, he's gone.
I imagine corruption would be a huge problem in Quidditch.
Yeah.
Like, you just bribe the snitch and...
Like, get caught by them so it looks like it's good.
So I was talking to the captain of the Quidditch team, and like I interviewed him at one point, and he talked about how both the Seekers were 17, and so the Quidditch ran into the on-campus bar and just sat down by the entrance drinking, and they weren't allowed to enter the bar because they were too young to enter the bar. And then another time, I saw a video of a snitch that like climbed up a building. Like, and it was on the wall of like of a university building, like 20 feet off the ground, and the others were trying to like climb up a tree to get to him and try to scale the wall.
They have to have a broom this whole time, don't they?
Yeah, and they couldn't get up to him. And the snitch also in Muggle Quidditch has touching him. It's not tag. It's like flag football. They have like I think they have like a tag you have to pull, or
a ribbon.
Or they might have like a tennis ball they're holding. It's something like that, anyways. And so the guy told me about one snitch that was like good at judo, and so it just stood on the field, and when the players ran at him, he'd just pick them and throw them and chuck the Seekers around.
The snitch is now a bludger.
Yeah, it's a pretty hardcore sport. I don't remember how the beaters work, but I think they throw beanbags, and you have to go back to your side or something. Yeah, if you get hit by a beanbag.
The bludgers are the things that fly around, right?
Yeah, but in this case, you get 2 beaters with beanbags. Yeah. And they're the only ones allowed to touch the beanbags. Yeah. And there's like 2 beanbags in total. And if you throw the beanbags, like that player has to sit on the ground for like 30 seconds or something. I can't remember.
They should have like just big guys be the bludgers and they just run around and punch people.
Well, you're not allowed. It is a full contact sport. Yeah. However, you're not allowed to use your broom as a spear. But he did tell me about a strategy they have called lowering the horns, is what they called it, or raising the horns, where you just lift your broom up when you're running at someone, so it's like aimed at their chest or throat, and so it freaks them out and they get out of your way. And it sounds... He talks about like everyone on the team has had some sort of like broken ankle or broken wrist or twist, because like not only are you like running into people, it's like rugby with a stick between your legs. So every time you fall, it's guaranteed to be a bad, awkward fall where something gets twisted horribly.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's actually surprisingly hardcore.
And it looks really silly.
And well, it depends. Like regulation broomsticks are just 3 feet long pieces of wood. They don't actually have to have the bristles on them.
Yeah.
So you can just have like a pole, and then you don't have to wear robes. You don't have to dress up at all. You can just like be wearing like a sports uniform or t-shirt and shorts. Yeah. So it can look like just a sport we would have.
It still looks silly though, because you have to run with a stick between your legs.
Well, any sport could look silly then if you look at it that way. Like hockey, you have to carry a stick and have like skates strapped to your feet.
I have to have the stick between your legs. That just sounds awkward. It sounds like unnecessary.
Or like bicycling, you have to wear silly shorts.
Like, no, you don't. They just do. See, like the stick. It's like a handicap that's added is putting the stick between the legs. Like it takes away one of your hands, and or you have to like run funnily with if you want to use both your hands.
Yeah.
So it's like adding a handicap to a sport. So like I guess not touching the ball with your hands in soccer.
Yeah.
But more be like your hands have to be on your forehead in soccer, like, and then you can do whatever you want, but your hands have to be on your forehead.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that soccer? Just people running around like that. It looks silly.
Well, it's like the Aztec sport where you can only hit the ball with your hips or something. You're just kind of like
your hips and elbow.
Yeah. I mean that looks kind of dumb.
Yeah.
And
but I'm just saying, like,
yeah, you're limited in a weird way.
Yeah.
There must be another sport. Swimming, you have to like have a dumb sort of like gasping look on your face, and wear a headband.
I mean, hockey skates because you're on ice.
Yeah.
So that's that. Okay, what that Zorg ball where it's playing soccer with Zorg balls over your body, like that sort of one.
Polo, you have to be on your horse or something.
Yeah, polo. I mean, that's actually so you can hit it harder. But it'd be like, I don't know, like having your ankle tied to your, like...
In jousting, you have to stay on your horse.
Yeah. Listening to The Fool and the Philosopher. Do you know jousting armor has caused misconceptions with the armors and knight?
Yeah.
Because people are like, oh, a knight can't climb onto a horse, like they need assistance.
Oh,
or
jousting armor is like...
Or knight's armor is like super heavy. Jousting armor is, in some cases, around the chest and like going up towards the throat, was 1/2 foot thick of metal.
1/2 foot?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot.
Yeah, it was.
It couldn't have been that much.
It was incredibly heavy. They had to have super strong
Maybe
horses.
like a couple inches, I'm betting. Like I don't know.
Well, it was like 1/2 foot with the padding.
Yeah, right, okay.
1/2 foot with all the padding.
Maybe. I could see that maybe. If it was like an inch thick of steel, that would probably like stop anything you needed to.
Yeah, but like their armor was absurd for jousting. Like their helmets were absurd. Their armor was absurd. They had ridiculously big shields. Like their stuff wasn't what they would use on the field because they didn't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
Like the jousting knights really, really didn't want to get hurt. Because it's one of the few medieval sports which didn't involve making the other person bleed to get points.
Yeah. I don't really understand jousting. So from what I understand,
yeah,
it's a points-based game. It's not about unseating the guy.
No.
You get a point if you break your
lance. Yes.
Lance. You get a point if you hit their shield.
Yeah.
And you get 2 points if you hit their head or something like that.
It's a point if you break your lance. Your lance.
Yeah.
Hitting their shield is also a point because it just shows you can aim. Hitting them in the body is 2 points. Hitting them in the head is 3 points. Unhorsing them is 5 points.
Right.
So, and then it consists, I think, either of 3 bouts or 7.
Right.
It's like consists of amount of bouts that you like have so many passes you can try.
And so the breaking your lance thing is just like showing how like much force you're able to get while being accurate, I guess.
Yeah, well, your lance should break anyways.
Right.
But also, when you start charging, your lance has to be up in the air, and then when the flag goes down, you're allowed to lower your lance.
Right.
So you have to aim because it's like a big piece of wobbly wood.
It seems weird. Like, why don't you just the jousting training things?
Yeah.
Why not just make that the entire sport? Like, why have another guy to hit?
Well, because they can thrust forwards, and so you can outbalance yourself, and you can hit the person so they don't hit you.
Right.
You can deflect with your own shield because getting hit in the body
I guess
makes you lose more points.
It's like fencing, I
Yeah,
guess.
and also like how well you can stay on your horse.
Yeah.
Like there's a case of a guy who had incredibly strong legs, and he rode a horse that was slightly smaller than normal, and so he could grip his legs better around the horse's body, so he wouldn't like fall off, so he'd get hit, and they'd think he's going to fall off his horse, and then he'd rise up
You know
again.
those moving sidewalks they have in airports?
Yeah.
Right? Okay, everyone gets, like, 2 people get into sumo suits. You have those sidewalks going at high speed, and you get, like, a giant rubber bat, and you just try to, like, knock the person over as you go by. Just,
Yeah, that would be jousting, basically. It's also how well you handled your horse.
yeah.
And another part of jousting was how well your armor was built.
Yeah.
Like, that's actually sort of a case of pay to win. It's how well your armor is built and how good your horse is.
It's like race car driving.
Yeah. Although they did have regulations on armor.
Although I think
Definitely.
in race car driving, I assume anyways, that all the competitors can basically spend as much money as they want.
Yeah.
I assume. I don't know if that's true. Like maybe someone like scraped together enough to like get a bad engine and
Yeah.
like a couple like shopping cart wheels and
Yeah.
but I didn't realize I don't know if that's all race car racing or just
Yeah.
some of it, but like it's not all about the driving. It's about like making your car and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, and maybe that's not every race, but
Definitely a lot of race cars is making your car.
yeah, which makes it a lot more interesting in my mind.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
Well, for I do know for was it RC car racing?
Yeah.
Like those guys put a lot of work into their cars, and it does take skill to drive them circles.
Like I find
But you do have to build the thing.
I actually quite enjoy driving games, but for the most part it's or racing games, but it's because I can like ram other cars. Whereas I just think that would just be at the very least rude in like a
No, it killed people.
yeah. So
The speed they're going at, you can't ram people. You flip cars.
yeah, so it seems like it'd be a little rude.
Yeah.
So it's just about like maneuvering and
NASCAR drivers have some of the highest fatalities of any sports.
build and knowing when to like. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand it.
Like, there's this whole thing in NASCAR, some race courses, which is they have this area, that I can't remember what it's called, but it's basically when you're going around this tight corner.
Yeah.
It's designed so you can just keep on driving because you're like, I'm not going to make this corner. And so you drive your car out far just to save your own life.
Right.
Because if you can't make that corner, your car will flip. And it will most likely turn to a
So it's
fireball.
basically everyone playing this giant game of chicken of like, I'm
Yeah.
going to take this risk and risk
Yeah,
my
I'm going
life
to go
to
really
win.
fast and take this corner.
That sounds dangerous.
And then you can go, nope, and you can drive off.
And yet we don't have jousting anymore. I think jousting sounds safer, actually. Like, it sounds like a bit less risky.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, in A Knight's Tale, wasn't there a scene where they, like, have a war lance for some reason to, like, kill a guy?
The villain has a lance that has a sugar head.
Yeah.
So it
Or, like,
explodes. And then
Pottery or something.
it was sugar.
Okay.
It was sugar head. So it explode. And then he had a piece of metal inside his lance so that it would stab his opponent and injure him.
But what's the point of that?
Because if he's bleeding out...
But surely that would just be illegal, like...
Well, they didn't... He hid it like it was a hidden thing. Like they...
Right. But if you're like, hey, I've got a wound, I got a hole in
And,
me.
oh, your armor wasn't good enough. Because it was a regulation lance when we checked it.
Right. Yeah, it just seems a little...
The guy he's based off of...
Ulrich von Liechtenstein
Yeah.
was amazing.
He was actually a fairly good lancer
Yeah.
and duelist. He would fight in the horse and the sword.
Have we talked about him before?
I don't think so.
Yeah, so he was like the first social media guy.
Yeah.
He was popular not because he was good, like
He was decent.
He was decent as I understand it.
Yeah.
But he was popular because every time he lost, he would give the person that beat him a gold ring,
Yeah.
like a wedding ring, and he would dress up in fights in like a woman's wedding dress, like over
Yeah.
his armor or something.
It wasn't always women's wedding dress. It'd just
Yeah.
be the ladies' gowns and stuff.
Yeah. So he was super like flamboyant. He was like everyone went to see him.
Yeah, he
And
had flowers in his helmet, so he had a coronet of flowers that he'd wear.
and he just give out like gold rings and stuff. And so he was like everyone just went to see him because he was like a big showy sort of fun.
You know, in the sword, I know historically, apparently, he would recite poetry sometimes while fighting his opponent, and like come up with zings basically to insult them while fighting in the poetry.
Yeah, like need more of that kind of thing. Like, well, I guess there's like that's like basically the entire WWE.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You don't see too many hockey players that have like horned helmets or something.
Might be illegal.
Yeah. You might not be allowed to do anything in hockey.
Yeah.
Or I don't know, a soccer player with like a whip.
They have cleats.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where there's much room to express yourself in modern sports, actually.
In metal fighting.
In metal fighting?
Bowhurts, the people who wear full medieval
right.
gear and fight.
Yeah, you could just have a modern, older, fun-looking
Well, I know one of the Russians has a horned helmet that he went into the fight with, and one of the horns got cut off, and he was kind of upset about that. He had like a big horned helmet, and it was really hard for him to balance with the thing, and then one of the horns got cut off in the mass melee. But they had to make sure there's no pointy bits on the helmet, so they're like rounded ends, but still.
Yeah.
And I know another guy on his breastplate, he like intricately paints designs and then they get ruined because his breastplate always gets smacked.
Right.
So there's some people who try to dress fancily in those fights. It's just...
Yeah. Maybe that's why all the MMA fighters have tattoos. They're trying to like express themselves a little bit, but they're not allowed to like wear like necklaces.
No, you're not allowed to wear...
Like, I got 6 gold chains around my neck. Let's fight.
Or, I got 6 gold chains around my neck. He snaps off and he's got a chain in the fight.
But WWE, they always have a costume that they can take off beforehand.
Yeah.
So you could do that with other
or
sports.
They don't take off the costume sometimes.
Like, you could have, like, in hockey, they could all come on and, like, you know those horse pantomime costumes?
Yeah.
They could come on in, like, the horse pantomime and then take those off. And, like,
maybe people don't want to see...
like the Oilers, hockey. Right? Like, it could... You know how in the 4th Harry Potter book, the Irish team, before the game, a bunch of leprechauns appear and they start throwing gold into the audience and stuff. And then when the Romanian team appears, these, like, harpy, like, the Vila women, like, come and they start, like, dancing and hypnotizing the crowd.
Yeah.
So...
Didn't that cause a big problem?
Yes. But do that, right? But they also, like, throw fireballs at the leprechauns at one point when they get angry.
Yeah.
But do that, but with, like, teams. So, like, the Edmonton Oilers, they come in and they, like, dump a barrel of oil on their opponent's side. And then, like, the Calgary Flames, they just have, like, flaming skates. But then, like, when they fight each other, there's, like, always an explosion at the start of the game.
I like how you say fight each other. It's hockey.
Well, yeah, it's hockey.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fighting sport with the occasional goal thrown in for just to keep people interested.
Sure.
And then like the Maple Leafs could like dump like a gallon of syrup on their opponent's side.
That would be disadvantageous to the Maple Leafs if they're say Canadian players.
And like
you'd just be stuck to it like flies drawn to a flame.
Oh, and the Sharks could like genetically engineer some sort of shark that can swim in ice and like.
This sounds like a little bit of a different sport.
No, it's just hockey, but you have like mascots.
Yeah, but they already have mascots.
Yeah, but like cool mascots.
Instead of someone in a silly costume?
Yeah, it's like you do something to the arena. Imagine if your team, it was all about arena building. Like you were allowed like oh, the Calgary Flames this year, their side of the rink is 10 degrees hotter. The Flames are like twice as big. It's going to be tough for the Sharks, but they've been breeding a whale shark that they all hide inside of to try to avoid the heat, and then they'll just release the puck into the net once they get through. And then the Mighty Ducks have been like training geese to like break the other players' legs.
No. That's a different sport. Some people just want some good old-fashioned hockey.
I like mine.
Yours sounds, one, impossible.
They said Rocket League was impossible. And yet...
And made a computer game of it.
Yeah.
Wait, is that actually what it was?
No, I don't think so. It's just... And Strikers, Mario Strikers, they VR, Connor, is going to open up the world of sports in a major way. You know those big rooms? Mm-hmm. Like the VR where you go in a warehouse and like... Make the entire room bright green, so it's a green screen.
Yeah.
Give all the players motion capture suits and VR helmets. Then they're playing whatever game they want, and then the audience sees something amazing. This is the future of VR.
And then you get the full sensory shoots, so it like can apply the shocks to you.
Yeah.
Cause the muscle seizures.
Yeah. Oh, you could have like a giant like. Oh man. Imagine you take like
Foul! He unplugged my headset!
you take the Wheel of Time mud and you make it like a battle game, and then it's like Aes Sedai duels, and like you're like pulling together weaves and like, or like Magicka, but free for all duel with real people, and you have like they're all attached to like ropes as well. So if you go flying, like they pull you back like with these guy wires, just like you go flying like 50 feet in the air.
That'd be great.
They have like little like these like quick deploying like vomit powders just like for the players. Oh man,
Just the guy wires.
and it like instantly calculates the angles and stuff, and like, and then like there's the big controversy 3 years in when someone's flying guy wire hits another guy in the neck and he gets decapitated. And it like the motion tracking's wrong at that point because like his head goes one way and his body the other, and so there's this big control, and then they demand that there's better motion tracking after that point, and, like so that you can show the decapitation properly.
No!
Instead of looking like he has a really stretched out neck.
You just want blood sports.
No, it was meant to be peaceful. I just
To solve problem with the guy wires yanking people.
So I invented the sport once where so two teams are on tall walls facing like this arena that's like a pit, and you have a big bouncy ball.
Yeah.
And the one team throws the bouncy ball down, and if it hits the ground, that's a point.
Yeah.
And then the other team has to catch the bouncy ball, and if they by stabbing it with a spike, because this bouncy ball is covered in holes. Right, and you have to stab the spike in one of the holes to lock in, so it's like Lego or something, clicks in sort of, or like connects. And they get a point if they like successfully stab it in. And then if you successfully stab, or maybe you don't, but then you have to bounce the ball back to them, and it's just back and forth until one team fails to bounce the ball.
What about they stand on these walls so people can get hit by the ball and go flying off the wall?
No, it's like this giant ball in the center, so you're.
Oh.
And you've got like a little like retaining wall.
I kind of like my idea. They're actually standing on a wall, so when the ball bounces out, they have to catch it, but like they throw really hard, so they get knocked off the wall and land into a pit.
Well, yeah, okay, sure, we'll do it that way too. So they have to balance on like a wall, right? But also, the tips of these spikes like are like super sharp. So if the ball bounces at you too hard and you get hit by a spike, you're just impaled, and then you're knocked off the wall into a pit of spikes.
Oh wait, the spikes stay in it?
Yeah. No, that's why it gets harder. Like, you bounce back and forth, and then it will eventually just, like, sink into the ground from the spikes on it. Like, the spikes point outwards, not inwards. Like, imagine, like, you just have, like, a circular thing that you stick into the ball, but then there's a spike coming out of the ball.
Okay.
And you're chucking it down, but you don't want the ball to stick into the ground.
This sounds a little dangerous.
Yeah, but then, like...
And so what? If the ball's coming towards you and you see the spikes, you just jump backwards?
Or you can try to, like, catch it, well, you try to, like, stab it with them, right? And...
Yeah.
But if you jump backwards, you fall into the pit of spikes behind you.
No, it's like a nice soft cushions or something, or water.
That are on fire.
No.
No, wait. The opposing team gets to choose what you land on, based on their name. And the Pittsburgh Piranhas are up against the...
Calgary Concretes.
The Calgary Concretes. Yeah. It's the Boston Buzzsaws. Against the Los Angeles lemon juice and salt and broken glass.
Broken glass. New York knifers.
It's
full of knives.
A bunch of guys with knives. The Arizona Assassins.
Now we're just trying to come up with these.
Louisiana Lions.
London Loogies. Ew!
I don't want to fight London. It's the St. Peter... Wait. Oh, come on. San Salvador Soul Stealers.
Paris Pissers.
Do you dare fight San Salvador?
Why are you up a pit full of lions?
It's the New Jersey Devils.
Yeah. Edmonton Elephants. They're taller than the pit!
Just Oh, man. I think sports would be a lot more interesting if you were allowed a special power per team. That was thematic. It had to be thematic, though.
But then you would...
Like, imagine if the Blue Jays had trained Blue Jays that could, like, catch the baseball.
What about the West Coast Wizards?
Is that a team?
No, but it would be one, and then you'd have, like, someone throwing fireballs.
Fire isn't real, Connor. Wait, wizards aren't real. That's what I meant.
Yeah, but still, it'd be some guy on the pitch with a flamethrower.
No, that would have to be the Flamers or something.
Or he'd be like... Okay, fine, you have the West Coast Wizards, and the guy's throwing cards at you that are, like, sharpened.
No, wizards don't use sharpened cards. And that's a magician. Wizards don't real. It's fine. But you'd have, like, yeah.
Southside Stoners. Real stone.
The Canucks could have a bunch of Canadians on their team.
Yeah.
Or something.
No, they're just allowed to let the fans attack the pitch. Once per game, they can open the gates to let the fans out.
Yeah.
That would be brutal.
But then you'd have, like, they're releasing the fans. Get the Sharks ready. They have, like, a moat around theirs. San Jose Sharks. And the Pittsburgh Penguins just have, like, penguins on there.
Oh.
And then you
they get cut in half by someone's skates.
A slap shot one.
Yeah.
Like, and then you'd have, like, a team that you would name, like, the Pucks or something, and you could have, like, multiple Pucks.
Or the Giants. Yeah. Like, you just release a bunch of people with giantism onto the field, and they just...
No. You're given, like, puck. You're given, like, sticks that are, like, twice regulation size.
You know, a giant puck. You're allowed to play
with a disadvantage. But you're allowed to, like, you have like this giant robotic.
Is there
like,
penalty shots in hockey?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, yeah. Sort of.
Yeah. If you have a penalty shot in hockey, it's the Giants. All their players just skate behind this giant puck and they shove it, and only the goalie's allowed to try to stop it.
It's like it's shoved back through the net.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just talking like this Smash Soccer now.
Like strikers.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
real life.
Yeah.
Or actually, there's basketball with trampolines.
Yeah.
There's a There's a trampoline. The net's higher.
Yeah.
And there's a trampoline at the base of the net.
Right. Actually, it might not be dumb because then you can get more players to play potentially. Mm-hmm. More heights of player.
I feel like basketball just needs to be made higher.
And like, imagine like professional dodgeball, but there's like different classes of ball. So there's like 10 normal balls, but then in the center there's one that's made of like, it's like a lacrosse ball. And then there's like a couple tennis balls like just scattered around, which are like okay. But
and then
everyone wants to, and then the game isn't until everyone's been hit. It's until they stop getting up.
And then, all right, whenever you catch it, instead of your players, like whenever you catch a ball, you get like, you spin a wheel, right? And then you're like given a badminton racket or like a
baseball bat
or a lacrosse ball, the lacrosse net or something like that, or a tennis racket.
Given like a little hand cannon.
Yeah, potato launcher, just boom. It's ding 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 ding. Oh, it looks like he's got the lacrosse net, and there's a lacrosse ball on the pitch, and oh, there's a player down.
And what's this? It's their lucky day. They've got a bow and arrow. Here you go. You only get 2 shots. Use them.
Oh, he managed to catch the ball from the potato launcher, although he's getting slowly dragged off the pitch by his team cheers as he gets the random point. Just like catches it in his gut and crawled around the thing.
He's caught the potato, and it's a hot potato now. It's burning. And that's the 3rd arena that's burned down this week, folks. What a game.
And that looks like he's got the hand grenade. Is he willing to pull the pin? Can he throw it far enough without getting thrown back?
And his opponent's got a tennis racket. He's ready for the throw. He better be careful here.
Oh, he's got the cannon. That's a 1 in 1,000 chance. But he's shoving the gunpowder now, getting the steel ball ready.
Is everything. Here we see him loading the cannon.
Yeah.
He's putting in the gunpowder. Yes. And
across the board.
Shot. Yes, he's releasing. And excellent. Blew his head clean off. Marvelous. Good job.
And he's reloading the cannon. Oh, it looks like a lacrosse ball right across the forehead, and he's down. And the ball bearings are getting rolled out.
Do you think being such like pacifistic sissies as a whole for humanity is bad for us. Like, I think we need blood sports almost. Like, I think this is why video games aren't necessary. Like, they're not good enough, but we need to like have at least a little bit.
Why metal fighting's so popular is because you get to hit people.
Yeah, but like, you know, there's just not like in metal fighting. Like, you should be allowed like a sword breaker and like a man catcher and like a giant pair of like shears that they can just like crush a suit of armor, like
or
pliers.
a full blown warhammer,
like a nutcracker. Yeah, like a big old like.
Well, I mean, the nutcracker is 2 Russians hitting you from either side. I mean, the Russians go for that. Like, their training is hitting as hard as they. The Russian team, what they do is like a lot of teams like have weapon compensation, like sword and shields, like maybe a few long swords in there, and then you have like a few pole arms, maybe a mace. The Russians have punch shields and falchions, and then people with pole arms. And what they do is they run forward, punching and swinging. That's their action. Is they punch and swing, and then the people with pole arms behind hit you hard. And the Russians' goal is to make you hurt. If they see like your butt's not protected by armor, they will start hitting your butt with a sword.
So I've heard, might not be true, but that Italy is dominant in fencing.
Yeah.
On Earth right now.
Okay.
And apparently the technique that they use in Italy is the same technique that the Romans used in like their fighting, which is like 1 or 2 cuts and that's it basically. Just very efficient, like boom, sort of. So, you know, the Romans they're onto something obviously.
Yeah.
But I think like pole arms, just pure halberds.
Well, there's problems with pure pole arms. You're not allowed to do the strategy.
See, it's all
because
lame.
you're not allowed to stab, and the pole arms advantage is you can stab and swing.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be charging into a giant bristling wall of stabby things.
Yeah.
That's like the Roman shield wall isn't as good. You can do the Viking shield wall, but you can't do the Roman shield wall because they're stabby.
Yeah, so it's lame because they're
because they're trying to not die.
Yeah, like what's the point of blood sports if there's no blood?
Well, it's not a blood sport, I don't think.
You need like not that I want to be injured. I just need to see them suffer. Well, not suffer. It's not even. I don't want people to be
Watch
injured.
wrestling then.
No, I don't want people to be injured. I want like fire and explosions and special, like, you know, like gladiator fights. They were like, all right, let's have them fight on a boat. Wow, let's see how he does against a lion. Whoa, now this man is a Myrmidian. He's going to use a net and a trident. What a weird combination, folks. And he's going to be against this guy who's only got like a spear. Wow, this is crazy. Like Romans, it was exciting. It was like, what power up are they? It's like, oh, and the emperor, he's giving the thumbs up. We're going to toss in an extra gladius. Whoever gets to it first will have the advantage.
And we have a chariot in the corner, and he can.
In this game, there's a pillar in the center with easily climbable rocks, but both contestants start with a pitchfork. But at the top is a shield, and if they'll be at an advantage, they can get up there. But do they dare try to get up and climb up the pillar? Like, oh man,
yeah. I mean, gladiators didn't kill each other often.
Yeah, always. Didn't kill each other always.
No, often. They tried to avoid it.
Yeah, but like, you know, you gotta, accidents happen.
Yeah, but like they would pretend to die, and then you'd have a new gladiator showed up that looked awfully like the one that just died.
And they had like names, like you had like Hercules, and like it was cool back then.
Yeah, but then Hercules' strong arm was unfortunately killed in that fight, and then boy, that guy looks awfully like Hercules' strong arm, but he's Achilles' strong foot.
VR, we're gonna get back to our cool
roots.
Sports. It's cool sports. That's all I want. It's just cool sports. Imagine if you were allowed 3 landmines in hockey that you could place like anywhere without telling the other team, and each team had them, and like it just keep the player on their toes. But it'd be more interesting. See, that's kind of boring. That's like one magic item, like I was saying in Harry Potter. But like, if one team got like 3 landmines and the other team got like a sniper, like, you know, just try to like, but the sniper like.
So you just want Blood Bowl in real life?
Yeah, basically. Like, but also like the arena can change and stuff.
Yeah.
Like in Blood Bowl, one team can choose the arena, but I want like each team to influence the arena. Like I want one team to have like a dam of water held back against the arena, and the other team to have like a pit of spikes like behind their net or something. So when they skate around, they're like ah! But then they're like. They're coming to the net and 2-3 of our players have been impaled. We need emergency defenses. And they're like, okay, well, release the wall of water. Actually, in the Myth Inc. series, there's this great sport. So there's 3 players on each team, and there's 3 teams in a game. And they each have a net. And there's 1 ball in the center of the pitch. And the goal of the game is, it's like I think the game lasts for like 2 hours or something. I can't remember how it works. But it's the goal of the game is to get the ball into your opponent's net. Yeah. And you get a point, and then it's reset. That's the only rule.
Didn't he have a dragon as his goalie and just sat in the net?
They had a dragon, a wizard, and like a demon on their team. And but then when they get to the arena, they learn that you have 3 active players, but you have like 200 reserves. But they didn't have any reserves.
Yeah, but they had a dragon in their net.
Yeah, they had a dragon. But still, like, like if they get injured, they're down a player, and then like hundreds of people just keep piling on, just like, because every time one goes down, another one's allowed to come on, and it's just, or maybe it was like 10 people a team or 5 or something. But it's just like, but you can have as many reserves as you want, and like that's so cool because like the one, you have a wizard on your team, and you have like, oh, this guy's a weapons master, and you've got a dragon, and like, yeah.
I want to see the Great Ball game played.
Oh, from Waldo?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was basically that game, actually.
Yeah, I want to, like, the 4 teams.
Yeah.
And there's a pin center you can drop balls down, and you're trying to go.
I could be wrong, but if I recall correctly, in the Myth Inc., they, like, cut the ball in half at one point or something with a spell to get 2 points. Something like that. But I can't remember. But, yeah, it's...
Well, don't they just at one point like start like passing the ball in circles around the net, like they just get inside the opponent's net and they're like picking up and like flipping circles?
I don't know. I think you have to like wait in the Great Ball game in Waldo or
no?
Oh no, I think it has to reset, but I'm not sure.
In the Great Ball game, it's when the ball's in the
net,
then the point is scored.
Right.
Although you're trying to get the ball into your own net and they're trying to block you, and
you know what a really interesting way to do those sort of games where there's like 3 teams?
Yeah.
You get points based on your lowest score against one team. Because that way it encourages you to, like, target both and then, like, divide.
Well, Chaos has a pretty good way of handling it.
Which is that you're weak to one team and you're strong to one?
Yeah. And you're trying to collect blocks and ribbons.
Yeah.
Chaos is a fun game.
Like, you get points from objects you gather, but you also get points from attacking the weak players.
Yeah.
To you.
Yeah, and then there's this weird thing where you...
But you're also safe inside their home.
Yeah.
But you can't... But then they see you and they can, like, patrol the outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good game.
But also you can, like... The people that you can pounce on, you can use them for protection. But then you also might want to pull their ribbons.
Or imagine, like, Capture the Flag where you're... Yeah, I basically want Blood Bowl in all sports, don't I? Yeah. But, like, Capture the Flag, like, one guy's got, like, a pole to vault with, and another guy's got, like, a glider.
And another guy's got a man catcher.
Yeah. And, like, another guy's got, like, a snare. And, like, oh, man. You're allowed, like... He's allowed, like, 3 snares to balance out the hang glider. And, like, yeah.
And one guy's got a motorbike.
Yeah.
That was fun.
I think, like... I actually think that could work, like, without being too violent. Just having, like, more mobility options or something.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in some paintball tournaments, they have, like, better guns in different locations and different weapons, and you can get grenades and stuff.
I saw this game where you start with, like, a full auto, like, airsoft gun. Yeah. And if you shoot someone, then you have to chuck that and grab a airsoft pistol. And if you shoot someone, you have to get, like, a Nerf bow. And then if you hit someone again, you have to grab a knife. And if you're the first person to kill someone with a knife wins. But, like, it's a rubber knife and you just tap them. Yeah. You don't actually kill them.
No, you have to kill them, and it's a rubber knife. It's quite difficult. Usually suffocating them is the way to go.
Just shove it up their nose. Yeah. Choke them to death on the blood from their nose, like, splitting.
Ew. Or just ram it down their throat or hit them in the throat with it.
That sounds violent. I don't like violence.
Sounds violent, he says, as someone's drowning in a nosebleed.
Yeah, well, I changed my mind. That sounds violent. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so on a very similar note.
Yes.
Our mom's been reading this book about... she's adding to her collection of...
yeah.
Wait, no. So on another note, someone's been reading this book, adding to their collection of like... I was going to say weirdos. That's not the...
gays?
Well, they like collecting gays, yeah. But this one is... this is collecting trans people now. But they're disappointed because they don't know any, because they all seem to be younger. And I do think it is like it. You know, there's more diagnosis, but there's also like there's a lot of stories right now of like misdiagnosis and stuff, which is crazy.
Well, I think one of the best things to find misdiagnosis is tell a person, all right, imagine yourself as old person.
Yeah.
Who do you want to be when you're old? Do you want to be an old geezer or old lady?
Yeah.
And that's the best thing to do. And I think that works brilliantly. Like, when you imagine yourself when you're old, do you imagine yourself as an old man or an old woman?
Yeah. Yeah, that's good, because it's like, oh, well, if you get plastic surgery, you can look good, but imagine that. That's the thing, like, I wonder how much of it is just, I want to look pretty, or something, like, well, then just, like, you know, get a nose job. Looks pretty. But, yeah, there's a lot of that anyways going on, and who knows what it's caused. But I think one of the causes is that for some reason, we've gone back to gender stereotypes. This is what I want to talk about. Not so much trans stuff. It's just, it's like, oh, I like flowers. Oh, you must be a girl. And it's like, no, I just like flowers. Or like, oh, I like the color pink. Well, that's a womanly color. Well, I guess your son's a girl. Or like, oh, I like hockey. Well, your daughter's a boy. And
Well, I do know
it's
one
like
of
become stereotypical again almost.
I do know one of the really bizarre things that happens in some cases is like in some very religious Christian families I've heard about is they want their like son rather to be a woman than to be gay.
Actually,
And that actually religiously happens in another place is
in the Middle East, it's illegal to be gay, but they will forcibly do a sex change.
Yeah.
Which is horrifying.
Yeah, but like to a lesser extent, like they'd rather have their son be gay, be a woman than be gay or something.
Yeah.
And that happens sometimes.
So that's like, I don't know how you can make like that sort of thing a blood sport, but really, I just, it was on my list and I wanted to talk about it today, but I just didn't think of a clean segue for the whole time. So, it'll come to me. But yeah, I know. Okay, so here's the thing, right? So I like women's fashion, right?
Yeah.
But I like it on women. So like I like that little what's that game called? Love Nikki, where you dress up and do fashion contests. I could have been a fashion designer in another life where I wasn't where I was like a sissy, but I'm not. I'm cool, right?
You're manly, you have a beard.
Yeah, I'm not a wimp. But in another life where I grew up somewhere where it's full of like sissy wimps, I'm like,
oh darling, that dress looks amazing on you.
I'm like a fashion designer. I'm the most flamboyant fashion designer ever, and I'm just like, yeah, and I'm having a great time. But the one thing is, right? I'm so flamboyant. I'm also like a prima donna because I don't like fiddly stuff like sewing. Yeah. So I have to be so good and over the top that I make other. Like when I go to school for it, I like assume other people are going to do the sewing for me, and then I get them to do it by sheer force of my presence. I'm just like, I have this design, do it for me, will you? Thank you, darling. Yes, excellent. I think that'll win me first place. What about your own? Well, you can work on that after you're done with mine, can't you? Let's focus. You know what they say? You should put all your effort on the thing most likely to succeed.
God, you'd be horrible.
Yes. So in like fashion design, I think like all the fashion designers should be allowed like a special power as well. So like it's kind of like in the Hunger Games where they have the suit that like bursts into flame and stuff. But like I would have thrived in the Capitol. I think like
I think everyone thrives in the Capitol.
Yeah, but they're kind of like disgustingly like over the top. Like what's that called?
Aristocrats?
No, that thing hedonist. Yeah. He's like super hedonistic and like. Just like all colored hair, all they care about is like the fashion, the food, and the blood sport. Like, what have I become?
You'd fit right in.
They get like the cool game where they're like, oh, and here's a bow, it's getting dropped down, and oh, here's someone they get. They're actually like,
They're like what you want.
Yeah, I want the Capitol.
You want the Hunger Games.
I want like the crazy fashion design and the fighting with the cool events and like.
So in the third book of the Hunger Games, is there a third Hunger Games they have to go and do?
I don't remember. Was the second game the one with all the legends?
Yes.
Okay. I don't remember.
Okay.
But
it's
been a long time.
A little twisted.
Yeah. but there's bombs in it that are nasty. You know about that?
Yeah.
Like they do a tiny bit of damage with the first explosion. These are real bombs actually. You do a little bit of damage with the first explosion, then all the first responders run in, and then the big explosion goes off, and you take out their medical.
there's bouncing Betty design is one of them. Is it goes up and like the first grenade goes up and
The story?
Pardon?
English again. Repetir pero in.
There's a bouncing.
En anglais.
There's a bouncing Betty design.
Yes.
Which is the first half the grenade goes up and shoots.
What's a hafta?
The first half
Yes.
of the grenade goes up.
Ah, okay.
And shoots out a ring of ball bearings. What?
Barbarians. No, you said it's just you sounded like Toast from Toast of London. Barbarians.
All right. And
Schedule.
it's
Charisme.
it's to clear out the first ring of people, and then the next one goes up so it can have more surface area to hit.
Right. Yeah, it's nasty. They're it's I don't know what I'm talking about, but I like fashion, and I want to be a fashion designer, and
so
for people that like beat themselves to death.
Yeah, you want to be a fashion designer.
But I don't like sewing or anything.
Yeah, but so you're saying that you're effeminate by being a fashion designer.
No, I'm not actually.
No, but I'm saying that people would assume, and then they'd put you into the general, and then you'd have to be a girl.
Well, that's exactly it. I think it's gone back to like stereotypes. It's weird how like it's like, so maybe those stereotypes are a bit harder coded than we thought. For like that doesn't mean that they're the be all and end all, but maybe if they keep coming to mind, maybe they exist in like a biological level to some extent. Like not for stuff like makeup, high heels, like tight clothing, like that is the manliest clothing you can think of when you think of like Louis XIV, right?
Yeah.
And like long hair, like fancy done up hair, like that. Yeah. That all comes and goes.
Yeah.
But I think things like restrictive versus loose clothing, like you could say might be more like men would have the more like free movement clothing, so they can like hunt deer, and women would have like the clothing with like the baskets in it so they could put berries and roots and twigs in it. It's biological. Men have like pockets so they can keep their arrows in them, and women don't need them because
they can carry them in the front of their dress.
Yeah they have like kangaroo pouches, and they just like shovel the berries in. Yeah and that's how clothing works.
Yeah.
So speaking of not lying, that's not how clothing works exactly, really. No, that was a bad transition. Let's cut it. Actually, no, I'm done. That's good. I don't need to continue with that thought. It was just, talking about wholesomeness and how I want wholesomeness in this decade, but I think I already talked about that.
Yeah.
And if I didn't, I don't really want to again. So I can cross that off my list finally. It's been there forever. Talked about it. Good.
Listening to The Fool and the Philosopher.
I don't know if I've talked about it before on the podcast, but I just don't understand the identifying as a man or as a woman. Like, I think it's complicated. We might have talked about this a little bit, but like, and like I said a moment ago while we were stopped recording, like, dyeing your hair blue and put it on a dress isn't changing your gender. That's like, put some effort in.
Yeah.
Like, make it, the whole point is that you want the world to perceive you as you perceive yourself. So make it easy for the world to perceive you that way.
Yeah.
Like that's all that he and she are for, is so that we can form a picture in our head of what the conversation's about. Mm-hmm. If I say there was a desk in the room, everyone's like, a desk. But I was like, actually, people sat on that desk. It was actually a chair that looked like a desk. You're like, oh, okay, I get what's going on. So if I say there's a woman in the room, you know what's going on. Mm-hmm. Now, it doesn't matter if you're dressed as a woman, or you're actually a woman, or you're a trans woman. Just look like a woman if you want to be called she, right?
Yeah.
Like, and I mean, if you don't have to be like a professional at like makeup or anything. Just like, I don't know, just
try.
Yeah, but then there's like, you get into the thing of like, I was just talking about rigid gender roles, and a trans person shouldn't have to be more feminine or more masculine than a typical person. Yeah. Like I don't know, your friend, won't say her name, but like the one that recently got on the pills.
Yeah.
Not transitioning, just like happy pills.
Yeah.
Anyways, they're not like super feminine looking.
Or acting.
Yeah, but but she's obviously a woman.
Yeah.
And, like, no offense to you if you're listening. Like, you're pretty cool. It's just, like, you don't have traditional feminine look. But that's not mean you're not feminine looking. Like, you look like you're obviously female.
Yeah.
Honestly. Oh, man, it feels weird to say it that way. But, like, it's just, like, you know, short hair.
Yeah.
Like, darker, looser clothing. Like, kind of interests in more in, like, video games and, like, swears more often and more...
Yeah.
Although... I swear swearing is more female, really, if you sometimes seems like it. But anyways, so you don't have to follow stereotypes. So if you want to be, if you were like a trans woman that looked like that, then I mean that'd be impressive to pull off well, I guess. Actually, so it's hard, and I understand it's hard, I guess. But I
don't have a beard. That's the only thing I ask. Don't have a beard.
I don't know. There's women get facial hair, so I mean,
but they get facial hair. They don't get.
But here's the thing, right? Yeah. Your friend might occasionally, I don't know if this is true, but might occasionally get mistaken for a guy.
Yeah.
If you don't want that to happen, then you have to go full stereotype.
Yeah.
That's on you. But yeah, it's just like what we were just talking about when it turned off that got this conversation going was just like, I don't know any trans people, but there's like more and more of them appearing at the peripheries. They're getting closer. And it's like...
They're coming in. They're surrounding us.
It's like a zombie apocalypse, and I'm scared.
Who's next?
It could be like... what was it? Autism? Like the autism numbers are going up, but it might actually just be like we're able to diagnose it now.
Or we're more willing to diagnose.
Yeah. But, well, ADHD is a case where it's no longer if you're like crazy hyper, it's if you're a boy stuck in a classroom or a girl stuck in a classroom and you're 6 and it's sunny out. Yeah. Oh, you have ADHD because you don't want to be inside with this lesson. Here's some like drugs to stop you from... So I'm... Look, that I can talk about and everyone's going to be like, oh yeah. Some stuff like transgenderism, it's become, I think they call them a hot button issue. And it shouldn't be. It should just be like... And I think it's because it's to do with identity.
Yeah.
But that's what I don't get. Like, having an identity based around something as trivial as sex, gender...
who you're attracted to. Actually, that's one I don't get.
Yeah, what you like to wear, who you're attracted to. Those seem so petty. Even, like, being a gamer or something. Like, be a bit more complicated than that. Like, like just have your identity be, I am Cameron. Like, I'm Cameron. There's a lot about me. I am... From like the short things, you'll get that I'm like, I hate everyone and I'm a Nazi or something.
You're an angry Nazi who hates video games but plays them a lot.
Yeah, and I like hedge a lot.
Yeah, and you also don't like us.
And D&D and anime is bad.
Yeah.
And people shouldn't write stories. Yeah. And I'm better than everyone. Yeah. But that's just a part of me. That's the part of me that shines through on the podcast. There's a lot more to me.
The Nazi really comes through.
There's a lot more that I hate. But you see, I'm doing a lot better. Like when I first did these podcasts, I hated myself, but now I hate everything else. And and someday, maybe I won't hate those I love.
Maybe I'll just hate those who deserve it. Some days.
Well, no, I'll just hate everyone that thinks different. But you know, it'll focus outwards. But the I don't know, man. It's just like, and a lot of the transgender stuff too. It starts with like gender neutral, and then I don't know what happens after that, but it seems to go that way a lot. And okay, so I once heard that this, and maybe the statistics were way off or something. Yeah. But there was like 1 in 1,000 chance of or something of being transgender. And then, what was it? There's this book out in Canada about. See, this I was talking about as well when this was off. How language is sort of corrupted, like, and it's not like. Well, it's kind of what Jordan Peterson was talking about, I guess. I didn't really understand him. I thought, but because he actually said, if someone asked him in person, hey, could you just call me female or something? He'd be like, of course. But when someone changes something, even if someone changes their name, it feels wrong. I have a friend that's he always went by like initials, and now he's trying to like move away from initials and go into like just his actual name, and it feels wrong.
Well, I'm starting to get worried that I will not be able to be Connor.
Yeah.
I might become Lorthorn. Like, that's a slight worry I have.
Yeah. And the Yogscast had that with, like, Shin. Like, he tried to go back to Paul, and he couldn't.
Yeah.
And he...
So I make jokes about my name, like,
Yeah.
Connor, oh wait, who's that?
Yeah, and so it's like this. It makes it feels weird when someone tries to change their name, even if like just their name. And if they try to change like their gender, then that's like a whole lot of things about them.
Yeah.
Or change their sex. That's a whole lot of things about them, because then you have to say like he and she and whatever, you have to get it right, and like and then I think actually who is it, the athlete, Caitlyn Jenner, who's Bruce Jenner. So what she said was that when you talk about Bruce Jenner, refer to him as he. And so they're actually like, oh yeah, in the past I was a guy. And so it's like, I think that's a lot easier to keep track of in some ways. But just then, that didn't actually seem that easy. So
Yeah.
But it feels wrong anyways to say like...
Changing your perception of the whole world.
Yeah, it's like, generally you have to conform to the world.
Yeah.
This way. And I'm not saying that maybe the world shouldn't conform to you. Like, they all have to call you a name. They can't just choose a name for you.
Yeah.
For the most part. But...
Nazi.
But, I just don't... No, I'm a bit too much of, like... I don't know. I'm not like, big on rules. Like, I'm pretty big on rules. I'm closer to being a Nazi than a communist, probably. But, like... But I'd be like a socialist Nazi. Which, I mean, they're technically a socialist party, but they weren't very socialist. I'd be like a very authoritarian leftist. So actually, like a communist, but like more free than a communist and less left. Well, no, not left. Just like I'd be more socialist than communist, right? Like give people support, but don't like have capitalism.
Yeah.
Because communism is a form of commerce, not government.
Yeah.
But going back to
I'll just give you a name for you. Like people, sometimes you can get called things.
Yeah, and I am nothing. Nazi is like such a. I guess it's just because it's a funny thing that people say these days to like say, oh yeah, you disagree with someone, they're Nazi, haha, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But it's just such a weird phrase, really, to toss around lightly, almost. But maybe it's good we toss it around so lightly. It's like saying like you're Genghis Khan or something. It's like ha, but like at one time that was actually like. Or like you Hun sort of thing. Like it's
pretty mean.
Well, it's not though. It's just kind of like we've taken away their power. It's not a horrible thing to be called like a Hun or something.
Yeah.
So the Nazis like only 80 years later have already lost a lot of their power, most of their power. So, because they are kind of something to just be laughed at, really. Like especially the modern ones, because it's just so.
Well, laughing at them really does take away the power because they used to be scary.
Yeah, and well, to it, laughing at someone who's coming to your house with a gun might not work, but like laughing at their ideology and their ideas might have stopped it from them coming to their house with guns in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
make it so they can't get guns.
Yeah. Wait.
Laugh at them so they can't have guns.
No, just laugh at them so that they don't want to attack you, because they are like, wait, everyone thinks I'm ridiculous. Maybe I am ridiculous, or maybe that's not going to work, because like I've had. I don't know. You just tend to double down. I double down. But going back to
the original segue
to the trans people, it's just weird, and it's like I'm not saying it's wrong. It's just it's hard for everyone, and if you're trans, you know it. But it's like okay, like 1 in 1,000. That was sort of my point.
Yeah.
But then there's like this mother-daughter, let's say, combo. That should be like 1 in a billion or something, or 1 in a million, which I guess is a big world. There's billions of people, so maybe. So like kind of works, but it's just I don't know.
There also might be that it is some like a genetic thing in the brain.
You know what I think it. This is my thought. I think we talked about this before. Yeah. I think it's like a dissociative identity disorder sort of thing, except not actually that, because that's actually a thing.
Yeah.
But like. What I would call dissociative identity disorder. You don't want to be who you are. And that's what we talked about last time. You actually said that was like a thing for you. And that's like, I don't know, like the person that we were talking about, the person in question that started this whole thing, has had very heavy depression, has a lot of allergies. Like, I can totally understand wanting to escape from yourself and start a new life.
Yeah.
Or like, you've been bullied a lot, you don't want to be that person that was bullied. Or you've so... But it's like, was the depression caused by the gender thing, or is it just a way to escape the human that was depressed? You want to start afresh, or you want to get away from that person?
Yeah.
Because like we said about the depression thing earlier, once you beat depression, or in this case, if you beat the trans thing, you still have to deal with depression. And then once you beat depression, you still have to deal with the rest of your life, which is a mess.
Yeah.
Like, it's...
Like, putting out the fire doesn't mean the house is burnt down. I mean, it doesn't mean the house is intact.
Yeah. It's then you can start, like... And then once you've repaired your house, you still haven't filled it with the fancy furniture you want.
You still have to live in the house.
And you haven't painted the walls. Like, everyone else has been painting their walls and choosing their furniture.
After you put out the fire, you still have to live in the house.
Yeah. So it's... I don't know. It's like... And here's my thought on it, right? I think people in general are going to know themselves a lot better than the outsiders are going to know them.
Yeah.
So if someone says something's one way, they know better than I do about themselves.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I can't say, are you sure?
Yeah.
And trust yourself. Me saying are you sure does not mean I don't trust you. I just want... And I don't know. Like, here's the thing. I don't like it when people doubt me. I prefer them to trust me. Because...
That's why you like me so much.
I want them to, like, just be like, you know what? You've done right before. You'll do it again, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And so when I say, like, are you sure? If someone said that to me, I don't think I'd like that.
Yeah.
So, you know what? I don't know. Trust yourself. But, like, yeah. You just do what you do.
But make allowance for the doubting, too.
Yeah, except then I'm just saying to doubt. Like, is it possible to have opinions? I don't know.
Well, if you're not so wishy-washy, it is.
It's just like, you know, like, okay, here's the thing. Another thing I say is prescriptive, right? Mm. So what I'm going to say is, my view on the world is, it's strange, and I think it would have been better off for everyone, especially the trans people, if we just never talked about it. Because it's been around for a long time, and it's worked out. It's just when we started, like, talking about it that people started resisting, really. If you think about it.
Just let it happen and then ignore it after that.
Yeah, like what Pierre Trudeau said. You know, whatever goes on in the houses of people, none of my business.
Yeah.
So similar sort of thing. Your life is your own. It doesn't need to, like, so I think really the issue is people, I don't know,
trying to inflict their life on the world.
Or even just, like, looking into something and then, like, trying to, like, not even, like, I doubt the trans people wanted any attention. Yeah. It was probably other people saying, like, that were interested, like our collector. Yeah. She's just very interested in these things, and she wants to learn more, and she likes, and so she can be, like, helpful and kind and know what to say to people.
She just wants to understand things.
Yeah, and so...
She's like, if she's Aes Sedai, she'd be brown.
Yeah.
Definitely brown.
But it's like, it just kind of causes, like, it brings it into the public eye, and I don't know. I guess that's fine. You know what? Okay, one more thing to talk about. We were playing Smash Bros. Yeah. You were ice climbers. You died really weirdly. Yeah. You said you had footstooled... Nana had footstooled you. Yeah. And it was like, crazy moment. I pressed the record button so we could watch the replay. Yeah. We could have had a legendary story if I hadn't done that, of how you got footstooled by Nana. And that's once in the past for previous Smash games. Well, all of them had record, but that's how it would have gone, right? Yeah. Nana would have footstooled you. Whoa, crazy, let's tell all our friends about the story. Remember the time Nana footstooled me? But here I come, I record it, and then I watch in slow motion that it didn't happen. I ruined the whole mysticism of the moment. But, what if he actually had footstooled Nana? Yeah. Nana had actually footstooled him. So, maybe it's better to go for the truth, even though it's going to cause a lot of problems. Yeah. Like, even though we didn't get to see the Nana footstool, it means that we could have had a recording of something really cool. So it was worth the attempt, even if we lost the legend. Maybe. I don't know. But I think it was, because the truth is... better, maybe? I don't know.
I'd say so, yeah.
Is the truth better or the legend? I don't know.
The truth, I think.
Because I think sometimes legends are more true than the truth. So I'm not sure. What's that expression? It's just, I think that sometimes legends are more true, you know? Like the ghost dog. There probably wasn't a ghost dog, and there's probably not, like, the cowboy ghost. It was probably just someone, like, lurking out the window, and, like, I saw their shadow or something, and, like, you know, there's all these things that but
it is what it is, man.
But it's like, I don't know. Don't ask me for answers, I guess. I shouldn't really even be giving an opinion. I don't know enough to really have an opinion. I could say, like, I hope you enjoyed this, but I don't even know if I care if people had fun. Like, I really just care about the numbers. Like, if people, like, hate watch this and the numbers keep going up, and, like, they're angry the whole time, but the numbers are going up, I might be, like, happy that way, you know? Like, I don't really care if someone enjoyed it. as long as they listen to it. They're all just numbers to me. If you don't want to be a number, leave a comment. And then I can actually interact with you, and I have fun doing that. Because I am interested in what people have to say about things. Or, like, you know, whisper into a box and put that box in your drawer and never tell anyone about it. With your questions you have below. No, you have above. Questions come from above, from heaven. The doubts come from below.
And goodbye.
But do I want God to be with them?